So as you're all aware, we haven't had a call in a little while. It's been about a month and change. We've been pretty busy with some stuff going on in our world as well as with, we're working the line. Most of us are, and yeah, just dealing with everyday life. So apologies that we couldn't get to you sooner. That being said, the biggest ticket item right now is what we're dealing with the company announcement that we heard yesterday. And so I can tell you that Gabe, myself, and the MEC executive were briefed on this yesterday morning to what was going to happen. And that's where we said at the moment, or 2 days ago, I should say. Lots of questions. I know our Toronto pilots are really concerned about what's going to happen to them. I know the communications from the company were saying that it sounds like the WestJet Encore base in Toronto would likely be shut down. From the indication that we've received from Diedrich and Alexis and Lisa, it's not the case. It just sounds like it's going to be substantially smaller. To what that means, I don't know. We're still in the unknown phase of what the plan's going to look like. They've come up with a strat plan to see what they're planning to go forward, and they're still working on the details going forward. This whole idea of the new WestJet, whatever we want to call it, it will take roughly about a year's time for it to be fully implemented. Can someone close the door, please? So it'll take some time. I know there's some concerns, with flow and everything else. We've been assured that they're going to be flowing more and more and more. Currently, right now, as we're all aware, we're a staffing problem at Encore. It sounds like they're going to be parking airplanes at some point, and we already have with the lack of staff on the queue. So currently, we're flying 10 less tails than we have been in the last, pre-COVID, and it sounds like there's going to be a few more tails that'll be parking after that. The Western base will likely grow, and you'll see more point-to-point traffic from the Calgary base to other destinations. People are going to ask, are we going to open a Vancouver base? That hasn't been discussed yet. We're unsure. That's still on the docket. If that comes up, obviously we'll communicate that to our members. I'd like to be honest with you. That's all we really know in terms of what's going to happen going forward. The one thing I can tell you, and I hope that everyone on this call will do the same, is your MEC's mission, your entire executive and your local reps, our primary goal is to see an operational merger with Encore into WestJet. And I can tell you that is our number one push from this group, and we're not going to stand down to that. We feel that's the best path going forward with the reduced pilot group, less airplanes, and just makes sense to us to, wouldn't say the right word is force, but encourage the company to merge this pilot group into the WestJet group. It would alleviate a lot of stress in terms of PTA issues, seniority issues, flow, pay, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying you're all going to get years of service, that was going to happen right away, but it will hopefully alleviate some long-term, issues that we feel that could be corrected. Gabe, anything to add?
Yeah, we can touch on some of the little details of the plan that was announced. Obviously, we got basically the same information that everyone here is likely seen. We can probably help clarify a couple of different things or rumors that are already starting to float. I think the biggest concern that we're hearing is usually three things: career progression for our pilots, career recognition, and respect within the pilot group and the company. So that goal and those missions have been abundantly clear throughout the conversations we've had with the company. We had a pretty fruitful conversation yesterday on the topic, but we all know this is a massive cycle that the company has the ability to change. We've been pretty firm in that stance for the last little while, that the company has the ability to shift the cycle, to change the cycle, and to get away from what's happening right now. So as Pat said, we are actively discussing what merging, an operational merger, looks like. And for those that are unaware about operational merger, it is bringing AOCs in-house. It is bringing the Q400 as a type within WestJet and no longer having Encore separate. We feel that that is the only way to solve the attraction issue, to solidify all of our careers at WestJet and WestJet Encore. Hopefully WestJet Encore won't exist under this plan. And to provide the recognition that our pilots rightfully respect. Obviously, I heard you very loud and clear, and I think we've been pretty clear in the communications that we've sent out, that the company is willing to do this with Sunwing. They're willing to integrate Sunwing into WestJet, give them years of service if that's what they want. Quite frankly, none of us should be interested in short-term fixes. We should be looking at the long term. Obviously, you guys have all expressed that through your reps, and the reps have been explicitly clear with the executive and with the committees as to what that looks like. And now is the time to do that. I think we can say that we're making some progress there. But right now, again, it's that cycle. They're flowing 8 pilots. We have to hire 16. You flow 8 pilots. You flow the most senior pilots. You flow the trainers. This last bid, I think there was 4 or 5, 4 ACPs that are gone. We're at a critical point. So band-aiding, fixing the problem is not the solution. Does it pain us all that airplanes are being parked? It should. As employees, I think that's hard to see. But at the same time, I think, to make no mistake, the company has the ability to fix it. And we're advocating for our pilots' priorities, which have been abundantly clear since as long as I think we've all been here, that you want to flow, you want career progression, you want recognition for your time, and you want to be valued and you want respect. So that's what the plan is. That's what we've tasked committees to do and to accomplish. And we feel like we're on our way to get there. And with this announcement, it only makes it clearer. With the Sunwing news, we would be, quite frankly, we would be lying if in saying that our seniority is 100% protected. We cannot stand here or virtually stand here today and say we are going to keep our spot on that list with Sunwing or with the PTA news about the PTA going away. Yes, there is a grandfathering clause, but we can't say that's 100% going to stand up if it goes to an arbitrator. Are we fairly certain? Could be, but I think most of us would like certainty as pilots, and that uncertainty isn't helping the situation. And in our opinion, there's only one party that can fix that, and it's the company. Regardless of whether the WestJet pilots are using that as leverage or what their tactic is, it doesn't help our group, and it doesn't help the attraction problem, and it doesn't help the cycle. So that, in conjunction with the Sunwing merger, in conjunction with this new plan that the company has instituted, there's really only one way to fix it, and we're pushing for that. I think what we can say is that the conversation we had yesterday was one of the more positive ones that we've ever had, in terms of them taking it seriously, them taking the concern seriously, and interested in actually hearing about the plan and what our plan was. So, thanks to everyone that put that together, because it took a lot of resources to kind of prepare that plan of what it may look like. Is it going to come out tomorrow? No. And we may need all of us to be prepared for that not to happen and for us to take other actions. But if that is the case, then we're prepared for that as well. But I think the message is that we hear you loud and clear, and it's never been clear, and that's also very positive. As a group that has leverage, we do have power, and we do deserve respect, and all of us as employees and as Encore pilots within this WestJet group. Yeah, Pat, anything else? Maybe we can open it up to some questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I got 2 things to say before we go to questions. September 1st, we're doing, I'm going to announce it now, a picket. It's going to be an ALPA National, ALPA International, I should say, picket that's going to encompass WestJet, Encore, and other U.S. carriers. It's going to be up to our MECs to see what our messaging is, and stand by for further. I would hope that most of you, if not all of you, that would be able to attend. If you're not working, obviously, if you're calling in sick, you won't be welcome because that's grounds for dismissal. But we'll get some clarity out to you. Natasha, our SPSC chair, will communicate some stuff out to the MEC, and we'll get some information out there. This is a time that we need to stand together in unity as a pilot group and as a profession to improve our working and life conditions here in Canada, We've all seen south of the border what can and what could be done. Let's be realistic though. The wages and working conditions south of the border will differ to the north of the border. So we got to be mindful that you will never see $427 as a line check airman in Canada. It's a wishful thinking. We have a different cost of living and tax structure north of the border. That being said, I hope that I will see a lot of nice shining smiles or angry faces, whatever you want to be, at these pickets, and we'll inform you where they're going to be. And on the unity front as well, a lot of our members choose not to wear lanyards or any Alpa swag. I'm not trying to push you to be, the whole propaganda thing, but the reality is the company does not like when we wear our lanyards and our swag. The more of us that wear the lanyards and stop wearing the teal or black lanyards only unifies us and makes us stronger as a group. If you need lanyards, we are ordering lots. Your reps, P2P reps, SPSC, and myself, Gabe, Karen, Chris will all have lanyards. When you see us in the airport, grab a few and start handing them out to your friends and to those who work. To ask a question, please use the raised hands function. I think we're all aware how that works since we've been 2 years into this world of virtual. And then we'll go from there. We're going to have to cut the meeting about short around 10 to 1 as we have to attend another meeting at 1 o'clock. But for the next 47 minutes here, we're happy to answer any questions you guys may have. And before go ahead with the questions. There's 2 questions that I got from our P2P. Is a Toronto-based closing? No. And can they flow pilots out of seniority? The whole purpose of seniority is to flow in seniority, so no, they can't. All right, questions here. I believe the first person is, yeah, thanks.
Should be able to unmute yourself, Taylor.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. Just more of a statement. Just want to say thank you so much for starting to look seriously at the sort of operational or merger, I guess you call it there. I think it's a huge thing since the Sunwing announcement. It's kind of started to get a little bit concerned with, like you say, the potential of them challenging our seniority. So I think that's definitely the best way for us going forward, and hopefully all of our pilots see the benefit there, and if not, hopefully they can take a couple minutes to get educated on that benefit. So thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, Taylor. And to the Sunwing, don't kid yourself. People are going to say they're not going to come after seniority. Unfortunately, they're a different bargaining unit. We can't speak for them, but we got to be very mindful to protect what's ours and how long we've kept it. We've kept it. So, not to say they're bad people, but again, we got to do what's right for our pilots, and they're going to do what's right for theirs. The next person is Ross Brownridge with the nice duster he's got growing now.
Hey guys, again, thanks so much. Just to second what Taylor was saying, appreciate all the work that you guys have been doing, and I fully agree. I think that operational merger is obviously a wonderful thing if we can do it. My question is, really from my perspective, yesterday with what happened, I'm just a little concerned about the fact that parking airplanes and reducing base sizes and all of that kind of thing, I honestly didn't see that coming, and therefore I'm wondering how much leverage we feel like we have if they feel as though a possible solution is always just reducing our fleet and our bases. Like, are we still standing with the same leverage that we thought we had a few days ago?
Ross, good question. I'll address it. I mean, and it's something that we've considered very closely even before. We thought it would be a possibility. You look down south and you see similar types of trends. I don't want to point down south as exactly what's going to happen, but you see similar types of trends. The reality is right now for Canadian pilots is that the market is ours. So if the threat is there that they're going to shut down the operation, right now, what's holding us together is, you know, that PTA and the fact that we do have the support of the pilots, but also we will have public support as well. So if they're going to start threatening, we're shutting down the operation, we're doing X, Y, and Z, you know, that's when we have, and I know our comms guy is on here as well. That's when we leverage the resources that we have and quote unquote, we call the bluff. Because I can't see right now, and we've in our best research right now, we can't really see a place where they start parking airplanes because they can't negotiate or they can't come up with a solution to help solve the problem that they've created. I think that's that's them stabbing themselves in the back. Respectfully, as respectfully as I can make that statement, that's them stabbing themselves in the back. So yeah, I think it's going to be tried. I mean, I don't think we're here saying it's not going to be an easy path forward, but right now I certainly see we have the upper hand. And for those that also, you know, maybe take a little bit of I'll caution that statement a little bit too, is the fact that I think our pilots and us we've proven to be a fairly reasonable bunch, and we've been very much willing to work with the corporation to help save our jobs, to help find efficiencies and costing. But now we're at the point where the market is ours, and quote unquote, now's the time for the pilots. So concerned that's what they're doing. As an employee, I think we're all a little bit concerned that they're parking airplanes as a solution. But in the long run, I think it's pretty easy to see that it's more of a bluff than anything. So indirectly, hopefully answering the question, thought about it, and we certainly see that there's a path forward.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate that.
And to keep in mind, it's not a pilot supply issue, it's a pilot pay issue. If wallets open up and pay starts coming down the pipe, a lot of these issues would probably rectify themselves overnight. So unfortunately, we need to get to that point to, you know, improving our quality of life, not just at Encore and WestJet, but as an industry as a whole in Canada. Camp Spur.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, there you go. Hey guys, yeah, thanks as always for all you do. Totally support the idea of a picket at this point. Just curious, you know, why wait until September? That being the case, it sort of feels like the company's been kicking the can down the road as long as possible now. So why wait?
So good question. Multiple reasons. We need people to bid the day off. Number two, we need to organize. It doesn't just come overnight to get signs, and you know, we have to get the media involved, and we got to get a lot of fingers and hands involved into getting this process done. And September 1st is a long weekend called Labor Day. We're a Labor Party, so we want to you know, it puts a voice out there for our group, and not only that, it's not just Encore and WestJet going to be involved. It's going to be a lot of other carriers across the board, specifically south of the border. I think WestJet and Encore are going to be the only two Canadian carriers, and we need to figure out how to work together to get that message across the line for our pilots. But we'll take your note back, and if we can do something at an earlier time, we'll discuss internally, and I'd love to do more. I think it'd be fun, and I think it gets the message out there, especially as the summer season starts rolling.
Yeah, Cam, if I could also add, the biggest thing about, you know, informational picketing events as well is garnishing public support and having it. What our initial thought was, without giving it too much away for those from the company that are listening, is we do need public support as well, as it's coming. So the idea about pilots picketing because we don't like career progression when we got laid off, that doesn't necessarily resonate too well with the public at the moment. But as flights get canceled and they start getting frustrated at the operation, it's pretty easy to point at the company and not the pilots and have support for the pilots. And that's what you're seeing down south. So that's why you're seeing the Alaskans and the Delta of the world organized the way they have, is because of public support as well. So coincides with maybe that timeline, as well as, you know, we've made some pretty obviously great connections, and looking to have those folks come up to support us as well, looking at about a fairly large and significant event in support of our cause. So it'd be great to have all of us there, and plus the public support. There's one thing that this corporation does not like, and it does not like press. And we found that out very quickly. and we intend to use that to our advantage.
And on
Makes
that
sense.
note,
Guys,
yeah, thanks, Cam. On that note, if you guys want to volunteer with the just to assist with the, organizing a picket, Natasha Gill would love to have some volunteers to help her, and reach out to one of us and we'll get you in contact with Natasha. Next is Eric Cooper.
Pat, hey Gabe, thanks for keeping up the good fight. Glad to hear it sounds like some positive news with regards to your chats with the company recently regarding kind of like merger of the pilot group. So my question is, hypothetically speaking, if the company did choose to move in that direction and kind of create a merger between the Encore pilot group and the mainline pilot group, the goal is that we be to kind of have that merger happen prior to the close of the Sunwing acquisition, and it doesn't really matter one way or the other with regards to seniority if it happened hypothetically prior or after, I guess.
Can Andrew Darlington mute his phone, please? Okay, fix that. So I think if I heard your question, so there's a lot of wind noise back there. Apologies there. The Sunwing acquisition is going to take another year at least. From what we're understanding, we're hopeful that this would be done before the whole Sunwing acquisition, if the company is willing to buy into it. If it doesn't happen, then we'd have to discuss as a group of alternate plans, and what would that be between us, this 100 and some people on this call. I don't know if Encore would be a viable option after that. And we've said that to the company. I truly think guys and girls would leave if, seniority and some sort of things were done. So I hope that resonated well with them, yesterday when we spoke to them about it. But again, I can't speak to what they're thinking or saying because, well, we're not the company. But, our goal is to convince/force their hand to do what the right thing is for all our pilots. I would hope that would be more concerned for an Encore pilot who still wears the same colors as a WestJet pilot, because we are WestJet pilots, depending on the day. They choose to call us an Encore pilot or WestJet pilot. And, if they start protecting the Sunwing guys, then we have bigger problems on our hands. So.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Pat. That totally answers what I was looking for. Thank you.
And Eric as well, just some of the timelines as well, right? So, we've for these last couple of weeks, we've been pushing that same message, the very clear message, long term, we fix long term. With kind of knowing that a plan, some form of a company plan was coming out yesterday. Obviously, we didn't know the details. We just knew something was being announced. And hence why we dropped now is the time to do this company merge. You need to figure this out, company. And it falls in line with our September 1st date as well of a picketing event. Gives them time to actually do the research, to come to us with how they want to fix this. We've told them what our acceptable option is. And if that, if by September 1st they say no, we're not interested in doing so, well then we have some leverage in the fact that we have a picketing event. And there's other things on the go. We won't touch on it, just for keeping it as confidential as we can, because I don't want to give up too much. But also we know they're at critical levels right now. So the longer they wait, the longer people are worried. Which we're not in saying that we want people to be, worried to the point where you're not sleeping at night. But I think naturally there is worry, and for the company, having people worried and having people concerned doesn't help. So they have to figure this out. So it's really on them to come with solutions to what our pilots have told us.
Max Zdaskin, you're next.
Hey guys. So I assume that you guys have said that you've already contacted the company about this proposal, but have they given any indication as to kind of where they stand on that, or what their thoughts are?
So we literally just met yesterday afternoon. So I can't. We proposed our ideas and thoughts, and they have to go back to their bosses to see if it works for the corporation, and we'll be in discussion. I anticipate we'll hear back in some due course. I know they got lots on the books right now, but definitely, with the words from the summit and from the announcement, they want to improve, empowerment, and they also want to improve a bunch of things. So they say. I guess it's a wait and see scenario at the moment. So. Jeff Merritt.
What you're doing and for keeping us informed. This joining the companies together is very interesting. I just wonder if you know anything about the short-term implications, i.e., are they going to still be hiring for Encore, or is that put on hold? I've just been awarded a Toronto captain's position for July. I'm coming back to the company. Will that be affected? Are they going to still be hiring people to flow people to mainline, or are they flowing people to mainline by shrinking Encore? Thanks.
Good question. They're doing both. So they're still continuing to hire 8 a month for the foreseeable future. Obviously, you'll see more Western-based crews as we slowly right-size the Toronto base as they claim. And then they anticipate more flow. That will be to be determined. We're short captains and we're short instructors. Our hope as an association, as your MEC, is to fix the big ticket items, and then we're happy to work on the small ticket items to allow people to have better quality life and guarantees. But big ticket items, what we need to fix, such as quality of life and merging groups would solidify a lot of issues for our pilot group.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Thanks. Mike?
Hey guys, do you hear me okay?
Yep.
Alrighty, so first of all, thanks for doing such a quick, short, I guess, timetable on doing a chat with everyone. So I have a few questions from on the line as well. But my first question is, when you guys mention operational merger, is that the same thing as the common employer thing we keep hearing people talk about, or is that something totally different?
Totally different. An operational merger is when the company says, hey, we're just going to do it, and there's no paperwork involved other than operating, merging 2 AOCs. And then it would be up to ALPA Encore and the WestJet MEC to discuss equal representation of all parties included. And then we would have to just figure out how a process would work. And in the long run, we would eventually become a one bargaining unit, and that common employer is a little different. There's a lot of uncertainty with common employer. Everyone thinks it's just it's an easy thing to get. I'll reference, if you want to look it up online, Jazz or the Air Canada, the express carriers back in the day with Air Canada, they had the best case scenario to become an operational merger, and it didn't work. And that's it. That should always be something that is always thought through, considered. We've discussed with many legal, people in our lives, in our world, to discuss options, and we feel this is the smartest and safest way for all our pilots here at WestJet Encore.
Okay, that's great. That's why I asked, because as far as I knew, the common employer thing was a very lengthy process, so I wasn't sure if this was the same or not. Okay, so this would be something that would be done much quicker, like you said, hopefully before September. Is that what I understood correctly?
I wouldn't say September. This will be a lengthy process as well. We all know how Transport Canada operates. They are not the quickest at doing things at times. No jab at them. Wink, wink. That being said, there is a process, but if we have on paper saying this is a guarantee going forward, and we can solidify the terms and conditions, there's no reason why they would never approve this. So it's, again, this is 100% in WestJet's hands to get this solidified, and our hope is that they agree to the terms and to our proposal.
Awesome.
And,
Okay.
and Mike, our dispatchers, a lot of operational staff are already one. So yes, there are 2 AOCs. Well, there's a couple AOCs out there right now at WestJet within the group, but looking at the company recognizing versus 2 labor groups applying for common employer status. There's also the misconception that you apply for common employer status, it happens tomorrow, and then all of a sudden we're one contract and things happy, or we're all one big happy family, and we get years of service back paid, and none of that happens. Assuming that it even happens, and yeah, Pat brought up the good case about Jazz near Canada. There's lots of many other cases out there. The main thing is that the company objected, and was there any harm done? Just because we're being kind of played off each other does not institute harm. So having the company recognize that they need to do this is the easiest way. So, and we feel like we're in that position right now to say the only way to fix the cycle is for you to do this, and for you to bring the Q400 into the WestJet group, or the WestJet mainline group, and to make it a position bid. The details on working conditions and other things to be determined, but that in itself fixes many things, because as soon as there's a date, all the Encore pilots are WestJet pilots. That solidifies things like who we belong to. We were going to be belonging to one bargaining unit. Solidifies things like seniority, solidifies career progression. There will likely be things like fences in place for bidding for a little bit. If you look at other mergers, we're going to have to assume that that's going to exist for a little while. But play it out. Anything is better than what we have. I shouldn't say anything. Those items are better than our current conditions right now, especially given the uncertainty. And we're in a position to be able to favorably negotiate a lot of other things that we may not otherwise get by doing this. Plus providing, I think the biggest thing is providing the company with some reasons why it's important. And that was part of the proposal yesterday. So we also think their little plan yesterday, they're announcing their plan. I saw 4 different communications come out yesterday, all saying very different things, which added to the uncertainty, which made our case a lot easier. Because we said to them, you just didn't align on your communication strategy. We don't know what you're doing. Our pilots don't know what you're doing. The only way you're going to do this is if you follow our plan. And for one of the first times ever, they not looked down and said, oh, you guys actually did your homework again. So we feel like we're in a pretty good spot.
Okay, that actually explains it very well. Thank you. That's something I've been having trouble too, is I have to always kind of tell people that common employer is not something that's quick. It would be a very lengthy process if it's even approved. So my next question then is with the PTA. Is the mainline's PTA cancellation vote, is that part of, is that strategic to do the operational merger, or does it have nothing to do with this?
I can't speak to the PTA issues. So first of all, they haven't voted on it yet. It was a resolution at the local level for everyone on the call. What that means is a pilot brought a resolution in to the local level hearing. It was a Calgary base, and then it has to be brought up to the executive, and then they decide what happens then. If they choose that it should go to a ratification vote, then they'll issue 90 days. Do a vote, and then it's a yes or no if it lasts or not. To the second part of the question, does this help our with the position? The PTA would be non-existent. It would all the issues with the pilot transfer agreement, good or bad, would just disappear. It would be a position bid. You fly a Q400 at the WestJet. We are the WestJet group companies at WestJet Airlines. So Encore would no longer exist, and you just be a WestJet pilot flying WestJet metal, and we just have to take the Encore side off the side of the queue.
Okay, thanks for that. So I guess this still has a long way to go, and more things would happen if they actually voted in and all that. Okay,
yeah, it's
question
yeah,
on the line.
Last time.
Yeah. One more question I got from the line from somebody who couldn't join. He's asking if you have talked with the company, or has it come up for the possibility to solve the instructor shortage, to have, instructors flow to mainline and then be leased back to Encore, like kind of Brock and Jason did many years ago.
So that was pre-union, pre-collective. It sounds great. that encompasses the WestJet bargaining units, if we had to do that. And number two, big ticket items should be dealt with first, then we'll deal with the small ticket items to solve their problem that they created.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all the questions I have. Thanks for answering them, and I'll keep listening.
Thanks. If you want to ask a question, by all means, please raise your hand. If you don't want to talk, you can type it in the chat. We'll answer it as best we can. We got about another 20 minutes or so, and then we'll break it off from there. Julian, go ahead.
Hey guys, so I've just been wondering, let's say that what we've been talking about the Toronto base being way smaller, they do actually get smaller, which means they're gonna close some positions out there, which means people technically would be losing their jobs. Would those pilots be able to bump into Calgary positions?
Yes. There's no one losing their job. There is no layoffs. They've assured us no layoffs. So some people likely will have to do a base shuffle, and there's stuff in the contract that would encompass that. Take a gander at that for those of you that you think might have to live through that. Again, it's still probably a year away until all that comes to fruition. If we hear anything different, obviously we'll gladly, and we will communicate that to everyone.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Julian. Gord?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Gabe, do you want to
Yeah,
touch on that?
Go ahead, Gord. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
how's it going, guys? Yeah, I'm sorry, I only managed to get onto this at about 20 past, so I missed the beginning bit there. But I just want to say, you know, I'm in no position whatsoever to say this is not really a question, but I just want to just try and help guys to just say, guys, please don't make decisions based on emotions right now. Let's be a little more methodical with your decision making with regards to applications to different airlines and stuff like that. It's just an announcement. The details haven't been ironed out. There is still lots of things to figure out here. Just don't shoot from the hip right now. I think it's the time to take a breath, take a minute, and try and make at least a measured decision. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, thanks, Gord. Yeah.
Thanks, Gord. Yeah, just to touch on the previous point there. So with the Toronto, obviously for the Toronto folks, I'm in the same boat. And it's a concern for all of us, I think, regardless of what base or position you're in. Again, right now the details are fuzzy, right? We were told obviously the base is in closing, significantly reduced flying, and will be managed through attrition and flow. I think that the important thing to note right now is that we're not flying with those 10 tails right now anyways, and we're flying the block hours that they're predicting. So yeah, will there be less flying? Yes. Traditionally, our new hires, there's maybe one or two people that go to Toronto anyways. That's likely going to continue because as people upgrade, as people flow, that's going to have to continue. So I think we still envision there's going to be upgrades in Toronto. There's still going to be a need for pilots in Toronto. Are they going to, increase it? Definitely not. Are they probably going to shrink it? Yes. But I still see that with them flowing, with people, leaving for other opportunities, that's still going to have to be, you're still going to need pilots. So if their plan is to completely shut down Toronto, well, that's not what we were told. What schedules are going to look like, don't know. It's also, important to note that we're looking at a year away. The summer schedule this month has already been, or this summer has already been out there. I don't anticipate that they're going to change that too much. I don't like using the term status quo, but it is status quo for a little bit until they naturally phase that out or significantly reduce that. So I wouldn't, be worried too much right now about what that looks like for people in Toronto, but it just kind of reinforces the point about you can't run that operation. You can't run the operation the way they're doing it. It tells me that when they say we want to increase flow, honestly, I call the bluff on that because right now they're barely doing what they can, and we're, you look at your email, right? They're basically crippling the operation just by flowing, but they know that if we don't flow, well, Gabe and Pat are going to be fairly upset because all the pilots are going to be upset, and rightfully so. So the only way to fix that is solving the long-term And to touch on the point about the sequestering pilots back in the training department, yeah, pre WJPA days, sure, that was the solution, and you can see how, you know, we're about fairness and democracy, and that's for individual pilots. And I understand that may work for certain pilots in very senior positions who have a specific need, but it's so clear what our pilots are asking for. Quite frankly, if that's what something that a union did, you should remove us all. We would never consider it. We would never consider that. However, we know that a long-term plan like this will require some short-term fixes if they commit to the long term, and that's what we've always told them. Solve the pilots' concerns, 1, 2, and 3, and we will work with you to get you through to that point, but not before. We're not band-aid fixing the problem when all we've done is, all the pilot group has done, not Pat and I, all the pilot group have done is sacrificed, has taken layoffs while the company negotiated with the government, keep this in mind, negotiated with the government and bought another airline, while telling us, hey, we're working to get government support. So if that doesn't infuriate us all, to say we're worth something, I know that makes me mad. So I'll hunt it at that for me.
Excellent point, Gabe. Yep. They did negotiate through the pandemic, so you know they bought another airline, and it may not be here right now, but it's coming. So a couple questions that I have here. Are we able to elaborate on terms and conditions proposed merger? Unfortunately, not at the time because we don't have any. We need more details. So next question is, if we do merge AOCs, how will this affect our contract? More specifically, are we going to get a new contract? We don't know that yet, Jason. It's going to be determined. There's a lot of ways we could look at it. Obviously, WestJet is going through negotiations starting at the end of September, and our contract doesn't expire till next year. So there's a lot of overlap and whatnot that needs to be dealt with. So we're working on that, but we're not sure how it would look. We have an idea, but we'll keep that to ourselves at the moment because, again, we don't know who's all listening on the call here. So another one there is, I missed if you said, with the proposed merger, what would happen for people floated in terms of years of service of pay? Again, that's to be determined. If a merger were to happen, everyone on property would be included, no matter if you float or not. That's the way I would look at it. We'd have to discuss that with the employer. And so if you float tomorrow, you should still be encompassed under the whole umbrella of everything. Again, we have to be mindful that we're not likely going to see years of service going back to 9 or 10 years for some, but we have to, for an ongoing process or going forward, again, details to be determined. We just need to see if the company is willing to take the offer we proposed, then we go from there. Next person is Matt with his hand up. I don't know your last name, sorry. Okay, Ryan Clark.
Hey guys. With the picket coming up, what is the main message or messages, I guess, we like to tell our pilots to gain support from the public? Will it be all in line with all the companies across Alp International or WestJet, WestJet Encore specific? What is it's going to be?
It'll be WestJet Encore specific for our MEC. Obviously, we haven't gotten to that point yet. We kind of just made the decision today that it's going to be happening. Stand by for further, and we'll communicate that when we can. But hope to see people there for September 1st.
Yeah, Pat, if I could just touch on maybe some of the questions, maybe a little more is, I know there was one question about what happens to our working conditions if we merge. Listen, all those details are gonna have to be hashed out. There's no one right way or wrong way of doing it. We've kind of indicated certain ways in our proposal. We call it a proposal. It was a general overview. there's, and I see a question about REAP. So assuming that a merger goes and happens, the date that we do merge as one, if that happens, we're all WestJet employees. That's, you would be entitled to years of service starting from that date. Anything back paid is going to be negotiated, and that will include when we'll have to obviously verify with legal through negotiations, those who would not be, we'll call it Encore pilots at the time of the merger, because essentially we'd all be one. So it wouldn't be like a REAP situation that happened during our contract, where REAP happened. There are certain pilots that flowed like right before the contract who were entitled to REAP. So that'll all be have to be figured out in terms of working conditions and scheduling rules for the Q400 at that point. Again, all to be figured out in terms of fences and who's going to be bidding out, who can bid out, position freezes, type of, stuff like that. Again, all to be determined. But I see the question about REAP. What happens to REAP? There is a part of our contract that says if years of service is recognized, then REAP goes away. But if you look at that, if there's any type of years of service going forward, REAP is substantially subpar. So if we can secure years of service, I would not even be concerned about REAP, because even if you got years of service starting going forward, it would likely be better than what REAP would provide. And if there is a case where it's not, I think maybe if, let's say, it wasn't back paid for whatever reason, or we weren't able to negotiate that, then it would be something that'd be part of negotiation. So we wouldn't be looking to hamper people's careers, because in our mind this is also a substantial savings. I'll call it savings, but operational efficiency for the company. So we wouldn't be looking, we would make sure that the pilots aren't taking pay hits when quote unquote bidding out of Encore at that point. So again, mostly to be determined. I think that the idea about us telling everyone that that's the plan is not to say the details, specifically what's being asked for or hashed out, more so high level. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about high, long-term things, and it's a testament to the pilot group, the fact that everyone all says the same things in surveys, in communications to the reps. So there's no point in hiding. We've presented to the company, so that's what's being asked for right now. Matt, I see your hand up again.
Yeah, we'll leave this at the last question since we have to join another meeting here shortly. So Matt, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hey, it's Matt Colley here, and I do appreciate you guys' the big picture item here. Merging the OC is awesome. I guess my question was just in the short term with inflation. Is there any talks with the company to cover, maybe short-term pay increases because of our cost of living all going up?
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll take it. So it has been a topic of discussion. It's probably not going to be, I'll be blunt, it's probably not going to be in these conversations, but there are some grievances that if that's an option for some contractual gains in some grievance settlements, we're looking for it. So we'll say short to medium term, if there's grievance settlements, we'll call it policy grievance settlements that we can incorporate contractual gains to in terms of pay rate increases, we'll look at it. I think that's probably the best place for it. But if we do go into these merger discussions, and that will be part of the conversation, because quite frankly, having to pay for gas is a bit crazy for all of us right now, and food.
Yeah, absolutely. Our annual raises aren't covering the increases in cost of living. So okay, thanks Dave, thanks Pat.
Thanks.
We'll leave it at that, guys, and thanks for joining. Like I said, wear your Alpha lanyards, be unified. Let's work together against the company. They haven't done us any favors in the last how many years, so let's stand tall as a group. September 1st, we're going to do a picket. We'd love for all of you there. More information to come, and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Take care.